Behind the pictures of a smiling, happy family, there are always secrets. There are always struggles that no one on the outside can see. But for some families, their struggles are a lot worse than others. And for the Koch family, what they went through behind the scenes was so much more than what most can handle. For 25 years, one woman, Bailey Koch, helped her husband through the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. She literally saved his life numerous times, but in the end, her will to fight, her determination to save her husband's life, is exactly what cost her hers. This is the story of the Koch family. Bailey Jade Koch was born April 29, 1984 in Lexington, Kentucky. While in high school, Bailey met Jeremy Koch, and the two fell in love and began a relationship. A few years after graduating by July 24, 2004, the high school sweethearts tied the knot, beginning this new journey in life as husband and wife. After graduating high school, Bailey attended Nebraska Wesleyan University, graduating with her bachelor's degree in 2006. From there, she earned her master's degree at the University of Nebraska in 2011, then her doctorate degree in special education from Walden University in 2020. She went on to teach as an adjunct professor at the University of Nebraska as well as at the Holdridge Public Schools. It was described that Bailey was an amazing special education teacher who was very much loved by her students. She was also an amazing writer who is so very passionate about helping others. Meanwhile, Jeremy attended Concordia University, where he ran track and field, graduating in 2005. Jeremy was described as loving nature and being outside. He loved fireworks, always putting on an amazing show for the 4th of July. He loved Christmas as well, always decorating the home in a dazzling display of lights. Together, Bailey and Jeremy were active in their church and made sure to live their lives with purpose. They wanted to serve their God and their community. By 2007, the two started Natural Escapes, a greenhouse and nursery where they sold trees, tropicals, and flowering plants. The two were also known to be very passionate about mental health advocacy and made it their mission to share their story and mental health struggles in hope of spreading awareness and helping others. They went on to publish 2 books about mental health. They posted their stories to Facebook and wrote blog posts about their long journeys through struggling with mental health, dealing with the available resources, and trying to help guide others through it all. By September 6, 2006, Bailey and Jeremy gave birth to their first son, Hudson. Hudson was known to love working with his dad at the greenhouse. He had a passion and talent for caring for plants, particularly Bosnia trees. He loved playing the drums and riding the jet ski with his dad and brother. He was known as being outgoing and social, making friends easily anywhere he went. He had a big personality, being the biggest and loudest fan at any school event. At 18 years old, Hudson was looking forward to graduating from Cozad High School. At the time, he had already accepted an apprenticeship in California with a well-known Bosnia master, so he was excitedly awaiting so much in that next chapter in his life. Almost 3 years later, on May 5th, 2009, Bailey and Jeremy's second and youngest son, Asher, was born. Asher was known as also loving to work at the family business. He was also an avid golfer, playing countless rounds with his brother, parents, cousins, and friends. He had a deep love for animals, keeping as many pets as he could at any given time. He was known as being goofy and funny, always having the best one-liners and being able to make those around him laugh. But beyond his goofy exterior, he had a good, tender heart and cared deeply for everyone around him. The family altogether were described as being very close. They spent as much time together as they could, doing outdoor activities and doing family outings together. But all throughout Bailey and Jeremy's 25-year-long relationship, Bailey and Jeremy struggled very much with Jeremy's mental health. By 2009, Jeremy was officially diagnosed with severe depression. As Bailey describes it, when he first got the diagnosis, they didn't necessarily want to share it with anyone, not their family, not friends, or anyone else around them. But for the 6 years that followed this initial diagnosis, Jeremy attempted to take his own life 4 different times, including one near-fatal car crash. Back in 2012, Bailey described that Jeremy drove his car head-on into a semi-truck on the highway. The crash left him with a leg broken in 4 places, a punctured lung, damaged pancreas, colon damage requiring a complete reconstruction, and a brain bleed. Bailey described being with him in the hospital while he remained unconscious and undergoing numerous surgeries to save his life. When he finally woke up, she was elated that her husband survived. Jeremy, on the other hand, he was devastated to have woken up. He was destroyed knowing that his attempt did not work. Throughout those years and the years that followed, Bailey continued to support Jeremy through it all. She wanted him to know so badly that their family was better with him there. They were not better off without him, as Jeremy so often believed. He fought hard to battle his mental health struggles, but it definitely was not easy. He would sometimes go into a manic state where he was full of energy and ready to dive headfirst into anything and everything. But that would be followed by a major depressive state where he would struggle to even get through the most basic tasks of each day. For a while after his 4th suicide attempt, Jeremy and Bailey worked hard to maintain a stable life, despite the struggles Jeremy faced. For about 7 years, Jeremy was able to get through each and every day without the dark thoughts consuming his brain. He was able to keep himself going. Bailey continued teaching special education while Jeremy continued working in the greenhouse, keeping the business afloat as best as he could manage. They also started a Facebook page, Anchoring Hope, to start sharing Jeremy's story. They posted photos and videos, keeping their followers up to date on everything they were going through, while sharing their thoughts on the various resources at their disposal, and most of all, trying to be a beacon of hope for others who were going through the same things. On that page, Bailey does what she can to stay positive, remain hopeful, all while being very realistic about what severe mental illness really looks like.
Here's the 4 of us. Hi, we're the Koch family. We are who you are following right here on Anchoring Hope, and this is reality. You're in our living room. This is where Jeremy and I sit every night. Our boys pretty much live upstairs and ignore us because they're teenagers, but it is what it is. So, Jeremy, right here, tell them why we started Anchoring Hope.
So in 2009, I was diagnosed with severe depression and kept it a secret for 3 years and didn't tell Bailey anything as I fought bad suicidal thoughts on my own. Once I finally opened up to her, healing slowly started for me. Bailey's faith exploded and took off after a near-fatal truck accident. And as I watched her faith explode and take off, mine slowly began to heal as well. And we found healing in sharing with others, knowing that we could help others, help them feel that they're not alone in a battle that is very common, sharing with others our journey with mental health and faith and depression.
There's a lot of power in accepting help, and then there's a lot of power in turning your mess into your message and learning how to help other people. So this is our family. We are not afraid to talk about our trauma and the things that we have gone through that have made us who we are. We are very, very close family. We don't have secrets, and well, we probably have some secrets. They're teenagers. They're allowed to have secrets from their parents. It's like a rite of passage, but someday all of their secrets will be revealed. They just don't know it yet, or they don't know that we already know. So we just kind of wanted to introduce ourselves and tell you this is reality for us.
I will have that page linked below, and I highly suggest that you take a few minutes to look through it. You can truly see just how much Bailey cared for her husband, how much of her heart and soul she put into helping him through his illness. It's truly, truly inspiring. But by July of 2024, things started going downhill once again. Jeremy's depression continued to worsen. He was at the point that he could barely get himself out of bed unless his wife basically forced him to get up. He hardly worked anymore, only working on and off for several months. As any business owner would know, the hours are long and there's a huge amount of stress and work that goes into keeping the business afloat. Jeremy was no longer working regularly, which meant that the income was starting to slow. Bailey ended up cashing out both of their retirement accounts by December of 2024, using that to pay their bills and debt for the following months. Other than that, the family started to rely only on Bailey's teacher's salary to survive, but that just was not enough. The family was struggling, and as the stress continued to mount, Jeremy's mental health imploded. By March of 2025, Bailey recalled waking up to Jeremy shaking her and standing over her saying something is wrong. When she was fully awake from her slumber, she saw that Jeremy was standing at the edge of the bed holding a knife, ready to end his own life. This caused Bailey to jump into action, doing anything and everything she could to talk him down and convince him to seek help. From there, he was willing to put the knife down and go somewhere safe. They headed to the Richard Young Hospital in Kearney, where he was checked into inpatient mental health treatment. This would be the 4th time he was hospitalized for his depression. This time, he stayed for 4 nights and 5 days, during which time his medication was adjusted and new treatment options were considered. After being discharged, his mental health team opted for electroconvulsive therapy treatments, or ECT, for his mental health. I want to note that Bailey said she was requesting ketamine treatments, which is an FDA-approved treatment method for patients who have been resistant to other methods. It's typically only used with patients with a long-standing history of severe depression, and it's understood to be a short-term solution to sustain someone while other treatments are considered for more long-term benefits. It seemed like Jeremy was the perfect candidate for this, but nevertheless, it seems that he was not approved for this for whatever reason. Due to this, Jeremy did agree to try ECT for about a month. Electroconvulsive therapy is another treatment method used in patients with severe major depression or bipolar disorder who have not responded to other treatments. ECT involves brief electrical stimulation of the brain while the patient is under anesthesia. According to psychiatry.org, ECT has found to be a highly effective tool to relieve symptoms of depression, finding improvement after 5 or 6 sessions in 80% of patients. However, it appears that Jeremy was one of the unlucky few who did not benefit from ECT. According to Bailey, ECT just did not work for him. It only caused him to become a shell of himself. He wasn't the same, and his symptoms only seemed to be getting worse. So they stopped the treatments in late April. After stopping once again, Jeremy sunk back into his catatonic state. He wouldn't get out of bed. He wouldn't eat or drink anything unless Bailey made him. He wouldn't take his meds, and he couldn't even remember how to function as himself. After days of him refusing to get out of bed and refusing to eat or drink, Jeremy returned to the ER once again. There, he was diagnosed with severe dehydration and nutritional deficiency, mental health crisis, failure to thrive. But because Jeremy was not in immediate danger, the Richard Young Hospital said that they did not have enough beds to treat a failure to thrive patient. This was devastating to Bailey because she called the Richard Young Hospital their safe place. But she did understand that there were others in the same position as her husband who were also struggling with their mental illness and desperate need of immediate help. So instead, they were transferred to the Koch hospital where Jeremy was given fluid and nutritional support. He remained in the hospital for a few days after that. Through all of this, as you can imagine, the financial strain grew heavier and heavier for the family. It's basically like a vicious cycle the family was going through. Jeremy became overwhelmed with his life, so his mental health issues started to worsen. As his mental health issues got worse, he worked less and less, and he was able to take care of his family and himself less and less. Due to this, the work and financial issues also got worse. This causes more stress to the family, and you know how it keeps going from there. By this point, Bailey was sharing post after post on her personal Facebook account and their Anchoring Hope page, keeping everyone up to date with everything Jeremy was going through. They were no longer afraid to show the very stark reality that is severe mental illness. They also wanted to discuss their frustration at the lack of resources and options for people in their position. For so many long years, Jeremy has continued to suffer, as do so many others. All the while, they are watching as funding for mental health programs is cut and resources are becoming more scarce. It's a scary reality we live in, and it became even scarier for Bailey and her family. She knew very well that there was a real possibility that she would lose the love of her life to his mental illness. But that's the very last thing she wanted. By early May, Bailey finally created a GoFundMe page to help raise money to support their family and continue paying for Jeremy's care. There, Bailey posted Jeremy's story highlighting all of the roadblocks they faced and surpassed. She just needed a little support, a little help to get her husband through yet another one of the darkest times in his life. By May 4th, Bailey announced on the GoFundMe that she was able to get in contact with someone who recommended a behavioral services unit located just a few hours from their home. They got into contact with this doctor and it was quickly accepted. He was then transferred via ambulance, and of course, Bailey followed right behind and met him there. After some consultation with the new doctors, they decided that transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, may be the next best treatment option. It's less invasive than ECT and seems to have some really great outcomes. TMS is a non-invasive treatment that uses magnetic pulses to stimulate nerve cells in the brain to relieve symptoms of various conditions such as depression, OCD, and anxiety. It is safe and effective in patients who have not found success in other treatment methods. Bailey was happy to find that there was actually a facility that offered this treatment right in their hometown of Kearney, so she was very, very hopeful for their future. After staying with him in the hospital for a while, Bailey left, satisfied that Jeremy was getting the care he needed. Jeremy stayed at the facility for a few days, receiving more fluids and nutritional support. Obviously, Jeremy was not thrilled to be doing inpatient treatment yet again, but he knew that this is what was needed for himself and his family. However, throughout that time, Jeremy's main concern was being able to leave in time for Hudson's upcoming high school graduation. He did not want to miss it, and he wanted to make sure that he felt better in time. 4 days later, by Thursday, May 8th, 2025, Jeremy was released from inpatient care just 2 days before Hudson's graduation. Bailey shared this update on the GoFundMe and was thrilled that Jeremy would make the graduation, but this wasn't the happy news she wished it was. It seemed that even though Jeremy was happy to be released, he was not responding well to the new medication regimen. He was still having a very hard time getting out of bed, and even after he did finally get up, he would just go back and lay down as soon as Bailey left for work. He was still feeling overwhelmed, still feeling worthless, still feeling like the only thing that could make him better was to lock himself in his room, shut the lights off, and close the blinds. Due to this, she said that she's going to have him stop his current medication and wanted to try and practice his coping skills until he can start TMS. She didn't want him to have to be hospitalized yet again. She didn't want him to struggle through yet another medication. So she decided to take a medical leave from work, noting that work was very supportive and understanding. The plan was to stay home with Jeremy after completing her workday May 8th. They would then meet up with the TMS people and get started with treatment as soon as possible. But that day would never come, because after years and years of Bailey's unwavering dedication to her husband, trying anything and everything she could to save his life, Jeremy still couldn't cope, and what he did as a result was so far beyond Bailey's or anyone else's worst nightmare. By the morning of May 10th, 2025, Bailey's father, Lane, stopped at the home where Bailey, Jeremy, and their 2 sons all lived. It was the morning of Hudson's high school graduation, so spirits were high, and everyone in the family were looking forward to watching Hudson move through this next exciting chapter in his life. But when Lane walked into that home, what he found was so far beyond horrifying. By 9:45 a.m., Lane discovered the bodies of 18-year-old Hudson, 16-year-old Asher, 41-year-old Bailey, and 42-year-old Jeremy, all lying dead in their beds. As soon as he made this discovery, he called emergency services, who showed up shortly after. According to troopers on scene, it was obvious that each and every member of that family had been stabbed to death. Right away, it appeared that Jeremy had stabbed his 2 sons and his wife while they slept in their beds, before, I think, lying in bed and stabbing himself with the kitchen knife, which was located near the bodies. I assume that he laid down and stabbed himself in bed because it was reported that they were all found in their beds, but that information is not 100% confirmed. I do also want to note that the official autopsies are still being conducted, so an official cause of death has not been released. But given what was found at the scene and knowing the long, strenuous battle with Jeremy's mental health, it seems pretty clear what happened here. This came just 2 days after Bailey made her last update to the GoFundMe, expressing her fears while also remaining hopeful for the next treatment. But they didn't make it to that. They didn't even make it to Hudson's graduation, which the entire family, including Jeremy, were very much looking forward to. After making this horrifying discovery, a few family members took to Facebook to express their thoughts on the situation. Lane, Bailey's father, and Jeremy's father-in-law stated that what he found will haunt him forever, understandably. He knew right away when finding those bodies that Jeremy killed his family and then himself. He wrote, quote, "Jeremy has been fighting mental illness for many, many years. His depression had turned into psychosis. It was not Jeremy that committed this horrific act. It was a sick mind." He wrote about how much of an advocate Bailey was, always helping her husband through the ups and downs that came with mental illness. But Lane is outraged. He said that the state of our mental health care system is a disaster. On his Facebook post, he continued, "Bailey and Jeremy spent years and years seeking help and answers to Jeremy's condition. Doctor after doctor, hospital after hospital, medication after medication, therapy after therapy, treatment after treatment. What we have learned through all of this is that every single person in the mental health care industry tries so hard to help people. Every single one of them genuinely cares for those that need help, from those at the front desk to doctors that prescribe treatment, to the nurses that carry out the doctor's orders, to the custodians that keep things clean and useful. They help some and save some lives, but not nearly enough. This is why I'm so angry. This country's mental health care is a disaster, a catastrophe, broken, and it's not getting any better. It's getting worse." He continued saying that politicians and lawmakers are focusing in all the wrong places. We are so concerned with the weapons that people use to hurt others. We are focused on prosecuting people who have committed crimes. We're focused on placing the blame on everything except for the root cause of so many of these issues, which is mental illness. It's not the weapons that killed people. It's not the knife from the kitchen that killed this family. It's the people behind them. And most of the time, these people have something deeply wrong with them. Lane continues that people like this, people with severe mental disorders, have nowhere to turn a lot of the time, nowhere to go. From dealing with insurance companies who only approve certain treatments to the medical bills people are left with as a result of these insurance companies. So many people refuse to seek care simply because of the financial stress. For others, their insurance makes it near impossible to even find a provider in their area that they will cover. And for someone who is already so hopeless, it makes it not even worth it anymore. People like Jeremy, people with depression and other mental health disorders, they don't have it in them to fight the insurance companies who continuously deny them. Even without any mental disorder, people with jobs and families are simply too busy to fight with the insurance company. So people give up. And that is exactly what the insurance companies want. As a healthcare provider and someone with my own healthcare needs, I am so very confident when I say this that insurance makes your life hard on purpose. They want you to have to call them multiple times and wait on hold for hours. They want to make finding providers confusing. They are incentivized to deny claims so that you are forced to take the time to contact them, knowing that many people will either just give up and pay the bill themselves or give up on trying to seek care altogether. That is so messed up, and I see it happen to sick people every single day. I myself have found myself giving up on seeking treatments for injuries that I've been dealing with for months, or getting a therapist for my own mental health struggles, all because my insurance has me calling a million doctors, sitting on hold for hours just for my claims to be denied. So I agree 100% with Lane. I think we need to push our politicians and lawmakers to stop focusing on the red herrings, stop focusing on lowering healthcare costs, and start holding insurance companies accountable. Because you want to know why healthcare is so expensive? It's because we providers will provide a service, a treatment to a patient only for the insurance to not pay us. So we can't just be out here working for free, costing our companies thousands of dollars to keep the doors open because we're not being paid for our services. So it has to be made up elsewhere. We have to charge more for the treatments that are accepted because we're being screwed everywhere else. So when you get that ridiculously high doctor bill and you're being charged $10 for a Q-tip, just know that it's because insurance is denying so many claims. It's denying so many treatments that we just have to charge more to make up for that. So you as a patient, you as someone that needs care is getting screwed. Not because your doctors don't care about you, not because they just want to get rich and make money off of you. It's because the insurance companies are not paying for what we are providing. Because oftentimes we treat patients regardless of payment status, especially in places like the ER. We treat first, ask questions later a lot of the time. And guess what? Insurance companies get to decide if the care we provided is worth what we're charging, and they are again incentivized to say no because a lot of these agents have no sort of medical expertise. They didn't go to medical school. They didn't go to any sort of school in general that specializes in any form of healthcare. So these people that I'm spending hours writing letters of medical necessity to, people that I'm on the phone with trying to get certain things approved, have no idea what I'm talking about besides just thinking we need to find a way to get this denied. So think about the next time you hear the old healthcare cost debate and see how many politicians want to bring up insurance companies and how each and every one of them are scamming their customers, because you're not going to see any of them talking about that, because a lot of the politicians, they care that you only have insurance. They're like, we need everyone to be insured. Everyone needs to be covered. Yet they're not worried about what's actually being covered by the insurance companies. But that's what I think about this issue, and that's part of the reason I chose to cover this case, because we hear so often about these family annihilators, but most of the time we don't hear this much detailed information about their mental health leading to what they did. Now, with that all being said, to me, I don't think that mental illness is ever an excuse for taking the life of another human being. That part will never be okay with me, and I will continue to believe that anyone who takes the life of another person deserves to be punished for it. If Jeremy were still alive today, I would treat him no differently. He never should have taken the lives of his family. He took away both of his children's potential. They could have gone on to live rich, full lives, and he took that away. He also took the life of the one person who put her all, her everything into caring for him, his wife. It's unexcusable and it's wrong, but that is where the case ends. I know this was a bit different from what we normally discuss on this channel, but as soon as I read all the details, I knew I needed to share this story. It was a very heavy case to research, and I've felt some parallels of his struggles, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. But again, this case can serve as an example of what can happen if we continue to downplay mental illness, if we continue not taking it seriously enough. So before I close out this video, I want you all to understand what it takes to truly fight for what's right. We need to fight these insurance companies. We need to make politicians and lawmakers understand that we are not going to solve any of our country's issues until we get to the root cause. And again, for many people, it's mental illness. And with that, with any healthcare, they need their insurance companies to approve what they are paying the insurance companies to approve and pay for the healthcare that they're paying them to cover. We need to make healthcare more accessible. We need to stop allowing insurance companies to make our lives miserable. We need to stop allowing these companies to profit off of us paying them every single month only for them to decide what we do and do not need or deserve for our own health. They need to be held accountable, and that starts with us. But that is all I have for today's video, and now I want to hear from you all. What do you think about this case? Do you think this could have been prevented had Jeremy gotten more care, or was this inevitable because he was already getting so many treatments? Do you agree with me on the state of mental health care and healthcare in general in our country, or is there another solution? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts you have in the comments below. If you liked this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Spotify. All will be linked down below. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.